Hello and welcome everyone to Better Late. This channel focuses on all the positive things about being a parent later in life. So today's video might not sound that positive actually. It's 6 things that you shouldn't say to an older mum, but I hope there will be a positive spin on it by the end. And I say you shouldn't say, but I should caveat that it's just these are my personal opinions, and I'd love to hear your personal opinions about the 6 things that I cover, or any experiences that you've had along these lines in the past. So let's get into it. Thing number 1 I don't think you should say to an older mum is, was it IVF? So let's just imagine the scenario that someone calls or texts you with the great news that they're pregnant, and then the first thing that you want to ask is it IVF? I would urge you to pause at that point and ask yourself, well, you know, okay, she's telling me she's pregnant. Has she told me up until this point anything else about, you know, her fertility journey, or, you know, because I would think that if you're asking that question at that point, you know, of her pregnancy announcement, or even, you know, coming to see the baby for the first time, that would suggest that you haven't had any previous discussions about it, and there might be a myriad of reasons for that. Number 1, there's no story to tell, or number 2, she doesn't want to share that information with you, or she hasn't felt the need to, maybe because if there has been any kind of intervention, she's spoken to her medical professionals, or she's spoken to her partner, or other friends or family members, and has felt that's enough. So I don't think it's something that you should take personally, and also I don't think it's an issue that you should push just to satisfy your own curiosity, or to confirm a hunch or whatever. I don't think that's appropriate, but that's my personal opinion. Thing number 2 that I don't think you should say to an older mum is, the baby doesn't look like you. Yeah, I've heard and had mums tell me that that's been said to them, or it's been said to other people about them. And yeah, again, I would just pause before making that statement, or asking the question why, or whatever, because it's quite likely that if the person in question had wanted to share additional information with you, they would have done, and the fact that they haven't done, as I said before, isn't necessarily a personal thing or something that you should feel slighted by. I think you should be more concerned about potentially making the mum feel uncomfortable, or forcing her hand to share information that she wasn't intending to share with you. Thing number 3 that I don't think you should say to an older mum, or any mum in fact, is, who's the father, or where's the father? Because again, you'll see there's a common theme here. It's simple. If there's not been any discussion with you before about a partner or a donor or whatever it might be, then it's unlikely that there's suddenly going to be a big revelation now that you've asked. Well, at the point that you've asked, actually. Now that you have asked, again, you know, the mother might feel forced to share information that they didn't want to, and that's just an unfortunate situation to be in. So I wouldn't suggest that you ask that kind of question of any mums, let's put it that way, because I've heard it asked of younger mums and older mums as well. Number 4, you might think is a joke, but of course it does happen. People asking, is that your grandchild? And I experienced this, not personally, but in reverse, when I was at school. My best friend to this day, 25 plus years later, says, I can't believe I said this. She said it to one of our classmates, is that your grandma? And it turned out it was the mother. So yeah, I mean, that was 25 years ago. I think undoubtedly everyone watching this video would have noticed in the last you know, decade, certainly, the age of first-time parents has been increasing year on year, I imagine, and it's not unusual for somebody with a bit of salt and pepper to be at the gates picking their toddler up. So there really shouldn't be any need to kind of ask that question, you know, based on the feeling that it's not possible that it could be somebody's child. But again, if you don't know for sure, you probably don't need to know, to be honest. So there's probably not any need to ask that question or potentially make that terrible blunder. Thing number 5 that you shouldn't say to an older mum, linked to thing number 1 about IVF, is was it your eggs? Some of you watching this video who don't know anything about you know, different types of fertility treatments and interventions will be thinking, what on earth, you know, what are they talking about, eggs? Or, you know, who would ask that question? Well, you'd be surprised. Again, it hasn't happened to me, but I've heard people have been asked that question, and again, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but it's basically an intrusion potentially that that you just don't need to make. So yeah, so I would advise against that. And the 6th and final thing, you know, you might think it's just a throwaway comment to say to somebody, oh, so, you know, were you trying for a long time then? Or I bet you were trying for a long time. Now, to me, that is based on lots of assumptions, and again, it's just, you know, it's something that I don't think many people would ask a younger mum or a younger couple, again, based on assumptions. So why would you think it's okay to ask an older couple? And I guess the reason some people think it's okay is because they assume there's, you know, a fertility story to be told. They assume that the person they're asking wants to tell them, maybe wants to tell, you know, the rest of the world. But that's not usually the case, to be honest. You know, people just want you to be happy that they've got a child, however that's come to be, and they don't usually expect people to kind of explain the ins and outs, or want the ins and outs explained to them. But yeah, you know, obviously everyone's different. The reason I want to hear people's stories and perspectives on this is that, you know, you may have in the past asked somebody that you're quite close to a question and been surprised by either the lack of an answer or the type of answer that you got, because you thought, you know, I'm close to that person. But at the end of the day, people talk to different people about different things. You know, there might be people that you talk to about a tricky situation or stress at work, or you know, headaches in your relationship or whatever with your partner, but you don't necessarily talk to everyone about everything, and I think that's fine. But yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts on all this, so please like this video if you did like it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed already, and tell me your experiences in the comments down below. Thanks and take care. See you next time.